Welcome to the Salt Cellar. I'm your host, Rebecca, with your weekly Salt Lake City History Fix. Today we are venturing out to Beck Street, to that old mission-style building on the northwest side of town. The Warm Springs Municipal Baths, Wasatch Springs Plunge, and Utah Children's Museum are just a few of the names given to this historically rich site. In order to truly tell the story of this place, we must begin with the first people to inhabit the land. The indigenous tribes of the Ute territories discovered the springs bubbling down from Ensign Peak, puddling into warm pools in the surrounding vegetation. The Goshute, Paiute, and Eastern Shoshone peoples used the warm springs as an early community center, a place of restoration, relaxation, and socialization. The arrival of Mormon settlers in the land now known as Utah in 1847 brought measles and other illnesses. The Native American tribes that frequented the springs became sick and perished as a result of increased white settler use of the springs. According to the site's 1978 nomination form for the National Register of Historic Places, the preceding years of use by the Indian peoples of the thermal waters have, thus far, not been described. No oral traditions concerning that use has been recorded. Thomas Bullock, one of the early Mormon settlers to the site, proclaimed,
"These springs, like the pools of Siloam, heal all who bathe, no matter what their complaints. The air is very salubrious, and with these warm springs, I can truly say we have found a healthy country."
Bullock established the springs as a place for settlers to stop and find respite. By 1850, a small adobe building was erected as an indoor bathhouse for women. There was a larger outdoor swimming area built for men. The bathhouse also served as a multi-purpose social hall. It was even dedicated by Mormon Church President Brigham Young. In 1921, the local Salt Lake City architectural firm Cannon and Fetzer began construction on the Warm Springs Municipal Baths. The old bathhouse was torn down, and a new Spanish colonial revival building was erected in its place, the same building that stands today. In 1932, the building became known as Wasatch Springs Plunge to entice more visitors to visit the pools. By the mid-1970s, the popularity of the pools began to dwindle, and Wasatch Springs Plunge shut its doors to the public. In 1983, after extensive renovations, the gorgeous mission-style building reopened, this time as the Utah Children's Museum. 30 years later, the building once again closed its doors, for good. A casualty of the booming construction of the Gateway Mall, an outdoor shopping center that included a new children's museum called Discovery Gateway. In pondering the magnetism of this location, we must acknowledge that it has been a relevant site for almost 200 years. The remnants of memories and childhood experiences are kept locked tight behind its glass windows. Peeking through reveals the ghostly outline of abandoned exhibits and the desiccated corpses of birds who somehow become trapped in the entryway. The once popular pools are empty, save for a few leftover filing cabinets and chipped pieces of plaster. The building is listed on the National Register of Historic Places, but sits vacant, used only for its tennis courts. Some say the building sits on a fault, and one tectonic tremble will leave it in ruins. A local paper recently ran a story citing the roof is ready to give it any minute. These days, the museum is part tomb to childhood curiosity and part metaphor for the forgotten dreams of the settlers and the indigenous peoples before them. It's simply sitting and waiting, unused for its original purpose, and yet unable to be repaired in a financially responsible way that would make it relevant once again. For now, the building is held in reserve, quiet and abandoned, on the east side of Beck Street. This has been another episode of The Salt Cellar with your host, Rebecca Baker. Next month, we'll explore the old Rio Grande train station, and perhaps we'll meet its ghostly caretaker. Stay salty, my friends.